The town of Plainville. Established in 1721 at the geographical center of Connecticut.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our town council meeting. Today is Monday, April 3rd, 7 p.m. We're going to begin with a Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Scioto. If you'll please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. We don't have any presentations tonight, but we do have a public hearing, and I will ask our town clerk to please read the notice of the public hearing.
Notice is hereby given that the Plainville Town Council will hold a public hearing on Monday, April 3rd, 2017, at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of the Municipal Center, 1 Central Square, for the purpose of hearing public comment on the Town Council's fiscal year 2018 proposed budget. Copies of the proposed budget are available at the Town Clerk's office during regular business hours. Dated at Plainville, Connecticut, this 30th day of March.
Thank you very much. At this time, there are a few copies, I think, Robert, of the budget next to you. Is that available for folks if they want them? Okay, we've made a couple piles there if anybody that wants to look at that. At this time, I will invite anybody in the audience who wishes to speak to the proposed town budget for 2018. Come to either podium. Please state your name and address. Does anybody wish to speak to the public hearing? Yes, sir.
Christopher Robertson, 12 Woodland Street, Plainville, Connecticut. Basically, I want to make a statement about the budget. Usually, you know me, usually I'm the vigilante of the town. But I'm changing my attitude on this. The residents are going to come after the town council and Robert Lee saying they don't like it. Well, they have to remember one thing this time around. It's not your guys' fault. 90% of the problem that we're going to face in every town is because of Dan Malloy's problems he created and issues of the past administrations. So basically, I'm asking the town and the council, we're all going to have to work together. If taxes get raised, I'm pretty sure, like you guys do now, you will work with the citizens if they have a problem. But like I said, this is, in my opinion, the citizens can't, pretty much, how can I put this in the right way, go after the town manager or the town council due to the fact that we have no control that what's about to hit our state. And like I say, as a resident, if I have a problem or if the taxes go too high or if I have an issue, instead of coming here yelling at you guys, it's better that we work together because I stated already, it's a problem that we all have to deal with. It's not the council's fault. It's not Robert Lee's fault. It's the state of Connecticut's fault. And we have to pay for the mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak to the public hearing? Mr. Frangos.
Lou Frangos, 10 Fairbank Street. With your permission, I'd like to lead in by an article that was in the Plainville Observer. And I'll take my question, will come off of this. The first is, if the town budget passes April 25th and the state then requires municipalities to contribute to the Teachers' Retirement Fund, Pugliese, Chairperson Pugliese, said the council will be faced with the challenges on how to accomplish that, whether that means increasing the mill rate or delaying various capital projects. In this particular paragraph, the mill rate, well, I'm curious, if the town council had to increase the mill rate, can you take it out of undesignated funds?
That's an option. That is an option.
Okay. And to follow up on that, I'm just and this is a more curiosity, and perhaps you could help me, or the town manager could help me with this. On the dashboard, the financial dashboard that's issued out, it says estimated unassigned fund balance. And in there, it says fiscal week tax relief budgeted $200,000. What does that mean? I don't understand it.
Robert's going to explain it so that I don't say it wrong the first
I
time.
know, fine, because I don't understand it at all, so please help me.
He will explain why that's worded that way.
The town council provides estimates of revenue sources to support the 1.53% increase, or the total budget of $58,525,194. And several years ago, they decided to utilize a very small fraction of our unassigned fund balance, $200,000, to to basically balance the budget, or to keep the mill rate a little bit lower than it would be otherwise. And since that time, the council has not raised that amount that they've pulled out of unassigned fund balance each year. And what they're proposing this year is to use the same $200,000 that they've used each year. I will point out that generally by the time the end of the year rolls around, meaning once all the revenues are known and the expenditures are known at the end of the year, in many instances that we never end up using the $200,000 that was considered as part of the revenue, because there were other revenues that made up for it. That doesn't mean that's going to happen every year, but for this year, that $200,000 represents a continuation of what they have done in probably the last 3 or 4 years.
Thank you. And the second part of what I'd like to present is, and it's also in the article, when planning the budget, town officials, and I'm assuming that's the town council, approve capital improvement requests for both the town and schools, but discuss the possibility of putting off various projects depending on what happens at the state level. My question based on that is, what am I trying to say? We're talking capital project building committee. What projects are we talking? Does anybody have a whole limit?
The capital, our annual capital improvement plan is not like a long-term project, such as a school building project or some other projects. These are purchases that the town would make during the next fiscal year. For example, police cars, large dump trucks, software purchases. We have lease purchases on some of our police security equipment. We also have lease purchase on a large fire truck that we purchased 5 years ago. So that's the capital project. It's not projects that it would be like a school building.
Thank you, because I was misunderstanding that.
Yep.
All right, so it has nothing to do with the buildings or?
No.
This is just equipment for the town of Plainville. Thank you for your help.
You're welcome. Does anybody else wish to speak to the public hearing? Mr. Kislick?
John Kislick, 65 Forestville Avenue. Well, I believe that no matter what anybody says here tonight, this is what's going to go to the voters, so it's going to be up to them. I didn't speak against the Board of Ed budget, the last opportunity we have, but I still believe the Board of Ed it's top-heavy, and since it's the biggest part of our budget, I think there's room in there. And what I would like to suggest to this council, and I know you can't tell the Board of Ed where to cut. I've freedom of information, the salaries a few times. It's very simple. There's probably 9 or 10 pages. It gives the name of every person, their position, and their salary. And if you looked at this and you saw some of the positions and some of the salaries, if you didn't go away shaking your heads, I'd be very surprised. I believe they're top-heavy, administration too, and we have to start cutting. Board of Eds are killing everybody. They're going to get us on a state level now with their pensions, because the state couldn't even keep up with that. And on our side, what the state's doing to us, we're going to probably lose our $200 property tax credit that once was $500. The sales tax will go up. We're getting hit from every direction, and you got to put some caps on the Board of Ed, some of these salaries. You look at some of them teacher salaries, and you're going to be amazed at how high they are, and these aren't even counting benefits or anything. So it's something you have to look at in the future, and it's going to be up to the people when we vote, and they're going to see we're getting hit. I know you guys did the best you could with what we have now, but we have to look to the future too. They can't keep going like this. And the board demands too much with their capital projects too. I mean, I'm going to talk about that in the next part too, but here you can renovate a school for $5 million less than renovate as new, but they want a Cadillac. We got to think about this stuff. You know, it's going to catch up to us pretty soon. If you do this renovate as new, and they're going to get that final payment and put it in the budget, these projects like that are going to be gone, and eventually it's going to catch up, and we're going to be in trouble. We're not going to have that big fund balance anymore. So, got to think about these things. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak? Sir?
David Spencer, 127 Milford Street Extension. First off, we had a horrible house fire in our neighborhood a couple of weeks ago. And, you know, I've known that our fire department has existed and, you know, I've appreciated it, but to see them in action firsthand was incredible. And, you know, I just like to acknowledge and thank all of the men and women who have volunteered to serve as firemen and in our town. And, you know, just to see them, it was incredible. And it's, you know, I thank God that, you know, I know they're there, you know, for any emergency. So, you know, they're training and they're, you know, whatever, I'm sure they have to go through some training, you know, and it looks like they delegated responsibilities, they went into action, and they put that thing out as fast as they could. So, I mean, it's, thank God for that part of it. Now, you know, I realize you are all, you know, basically you're unpaid elected volunteers. And I'm assuming, you know, you're part-timers, you know, nobody's dedicating their full time to this job, and we appreciate that. And I'm assuming, I'll give everybody the benefit of the doubt, that you're in these positions because, you know, you love the town and you want the best for the town. Now, to address the budget at this point in time, I'm sure you probably get besieged with requests and advice and from all sorts of places, that from probably people who maybe you even feel are better informed than you are. But I think we have to go very slowly this time around. We don't know, there's too much unknown out there. I mean, the governor and a good part of the legislature is not addressing the systemic problems in the Connecticut budget, and now, as we see, they're trying to pawn it off on the towns. And, you know, we can't afford that. So, I mean, at this point, I think we got to back off on any kind of increases as much as possible, just to see how this all plays out. I mean, just to push a third of the teachers' pensions on it, even though, you know, the citizens of this town send millions of dollars to Hartford, you know, is unconscionable in my mind. And, so, plus the governor is going to be scrounging around in every seat cushion he can find out there right now to try to save a buck. And I think he's going to try to be, possibly out of necessity, pawning more and more responsibilities onto the towns that we haven't had before. So I think maybe we have to do a wait-and-see attitude this time around, back off on any increases, you know, decrease if possible, and see what happens. Because, you know, if we make commitments into the future and then we're also overloaded with debt and responsibility from the state government, you know, there are going to be people in this town severely hurting, you know, just, you know, I mean, I could get into some specifics. I mean, the Board of Education, I have no idea why we need 2 assistant principals at the high school. And I think, you know, perhaps the pre-K education should be looked at. I mean, there have been studies of Head Start that have shown that whatever benefit the kids get at that age from these kind of programs is gone by the 2nd or 3rd grade. So I mean, I wish we'd step back a little bit from that and evaluate that from a cost-effective point of view. I guess that's it for about now. I mean, I could bring in documentation of studies that have been done on you know, pre-K education. So I don't think that's something our Board of Ed should be getting involved in at all, because, you know, eventually, I mean, it's nice, you know, kids are gonna learn. I mean, I love that. I mean, my grandkids have been involved in it, they like it, but, you know, before that, my other grandkids went into private pre-K, and it was mostly just to socialize them with other kids, you know. That's about it. Just, we really got to tread softly this time around, and we got to, because we don't know what's out in the future. We don't know what's going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak? Joanne, on the budget?
Budget.
Joanne Edmond, 166 West Main Street. You know, we're 9.5 square miles in this town, and we're closing in on almost $60 million for the budget. It's a little high. I'm just, every year it's almost $1 million or over $1 million. And gee, you look around, you see houses, more and more houses going up for sale. You know, people are, the economy isn't that great yet. You know, people are struggling, and it's just it just seems to me that you can do better. And there's groups of, I don't know, something else I was going to say. Well, that's all for now.
Thank you. Does anybody
Take it easy on the people. It's just a little too much. It's too high.
Does anybody else wish to speak to the public hearing? Anybody else? I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Joanne.
I did have one more thing. That's what I was trying to remember.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. There was an additional 25,000, I believe, that was added onto the budget. What was that for?
Additional $25,000?
Yeah.
We had, I don't have that exact number, but we had put a position back into the budget after the town manager recommended his number. So the increase had to do with putting a position back in the budget.
It was like 58,500 something, and then it became 58,525 something. And I was just wondering what.
A position was added
People
back in.
should know.
It was a half a position.
Probably a position,
Sorry.
a buildings and grounds position.
It was funded for half a year. Wasn't
It's a-
funded for the full year.
Right. It's a buildings and grounds position funded for half the year.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, in corporate America, in businesses, when things aren't going right in the economy, they put a freeze, a cap on what their employees get. This doesn't seem to happen in towns and cities. What? People can't keep up with it. $1 million every year, and doesn't new businesses coming into the town compensate that and balance it out? Take a hard look.
Does anybody else wish to speak to the public hearing? Anybody else? Last chance. Thank you for your comments. I'll close the public hearing. We'll move on to the next order of business. Minutes of our previous meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to approve the minutes of March 20th, 2017 regular meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Announcements and reports. Do we have any announcements or reports tonight? No? I'll just make a quick announcement. Last week or so, Councilwoman Moranti and I, along with Robert Lee, went to a forum at CCSU to talk about some of the issues facing the state, some of which are suggested solutions for trying to bring down some of the spending. Some of it is town to town getting together and sharing. They don't want to, now being called shared services. So there is some thinking in Hartford. Hartford is our capital city, which is struggling, as we all know. And this is an interesting forum, I thought, from a variety of different speakers who talked about their area of expertise. Should we go along with some of these ideas? What's the largest driver in some of this? What are some of the stumbling blocks we would face by trying to do these things? So I thought it was informative. I don't know that there was really a solution. What would you say? Did you think there was a big solution at the end, or?
There were certainly a lot of ideas that were put on the table for discussion. It was interesting because not all the panelists necessarily agreed with one another
No.
on everything, so that, which was interesting because it gave a couple of different perspectives. Although I think I could say that everybody was speaking to some type of shared service, and about the fact that, you know, Connecticut is broken into the 169 towns that very often act with an awful lot of independence. And just trying to sort of change the mindset on that with some of the policies.
Plainville is actually mentioned by one of the speakers as being a town who has done some of the shared services by consolidating of financial functions at the town level, working with the Board of Education on a number of different entities. So we were mentioned as a town that's trying to do that in our own small way. Nonetheless, we were noted, but it is an ongoing issue. There's lots of problems at the state, we all know that, and there's a lot of people thinking, how can we try to look to the future and put some plans in place that may help down the road tackle some of these very expensive issues. So that was it. All right, if there are no others, we're on to appointments and resignations. Do we have any appointments tonight? Nope. None? You have none on this side? Nope. Nothing? Okay. Report of our town attorney. Attorney Mastriani, do you have a report for us?
I don't have a report for us, but I do have a report for the executive session.
Okay, thank you. Okay, report of the town manager. Robert?
Yes, I do have a couple of items for this evening. The first is the school renovations project update. The Capital Projects Building Committee met last week and finalized their recommendation for the school renovations projects. They are recommending that the town council move forward with the projects at Wheeler Elementary School and the high school. Based upon conversations with school administration and the town manager's office, they, meaning the Capital Projects Building Committee, are recommending that the replacement of the middle school roof be deferred for the time being until a determination is made with the replacement of the mechanical equipment that is also located on the roof. School Facilities Director Steve Bussell has contacted some roofing companies about a maintenance program that could extend the life of the existing roof for the time being at a relatively modest price. As a result, the total project costs have been reduced by almost $2 million. The Wheeler Renovate Like New project is estimated at $23.5 million, and the high school parking lot is estimated at $1.75 million, for a total project cost of $25,260,000. After several meetings with School Facilities Unit at the State Department of Administrative Services, it is estimated that the project will receive approximately $12.1 million in state grants, leaving a net project cost of $13,153,000. The net project cost amount is less than the goal established by the Town Council last year and would allow for any new debt to be absorbed into the existing debt service line item in the town budget without an increase from the current fiscal year 17 appropriation. The reason for this is because the town is paying off some existing long-term debt commitments, making room for additional debt without increasing what is currently being budgeted. The next step in the process is to conduct a public hearing on the recommendation of the Capital Projects Building Committee. Bond Council has drafted a proposed ordinance that would be the subject of the public hearing. There is an item under new business that would set the public hearing for Monday, April 24th at 7 p.m. at the Wheeler Elementary School Gymnasium. There will also be an opportunity for residents to tour the school building before the public hearing. I believe I provided you with copies of the ordinance, and I have extra copies here this evening if there's anybody from the public would like to get a copy, and we'll also have it posted on the town website as well. There already. Next item I have is a small business loan, CAPS, C-A-P-S, LNP, LLC. I'm not sure where they come up with that stuff, but, you know, that's the name of it. The Economic Development Agency is recommending that a small business loan be made from the Economic Development Fund in the amount of $40,000 to CAPS, LNP, which is also known as AMP Radio Network. If approved, this would be the third EDA loan that has been issued to AMP Radio. One of them has been paid off, one of them is partially paid off, and this would be an additional loan. The EDA has determined that there is sufficient collateralization to protect the town's investment. Attorney Mastriani has reviewed the loan documents and has determined that they are sufficient to move forward as recommended by the Economic Development Agency. There is an item under new business regarding this loan to CAPS in the amount of $40,000 with an interest rate of 2.33%. I also provided you with some documentation on the loan history of the EDA fund. I would point out that I did verify this, that entities that we've loaned funds to, we've never had a default on those funds from the EDA fund. We've never had a default. If there's no questions on that, the next I have is bids discussion. Bids I put in plural. There are a number of bids that town staff is recommending for your consideration this evening. The first involves the reconstruction of Paderewski Park basketball courts as part of the Park Improvement Grant program. Town staff is recommending that Tilcon be awarded the reconstruction of the basketball court in the amount of $22,941. The prices for this project are in line with the state bid contract amounts for reclaiming, grading, compacting, and paving. The second bid involves the paving of town streets as part of the road bond program. Town staff is recommending that the Tilcon be awarded the contract under the applicable state bid contracts. The estimated cost of this work is $500,000. The third and fourth bids are for the purchase of catch basin tops and other items and concrete blocks and bricks as part of the road bond program. Town staff is recommending that the catch basin items be purchased from United Concrete Products and the blocks and bricks from Cromwell Concrete under applicable state bid prices. The estimated amount for these bids are $50,000 and $15,000 respectively. These recommendations are scheduled for consideration for you this evening under new business. John Bossy is also here, at least he was here.
Sure.
Still here, if you have any questions about any of those items. Next item I have is the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail Gap Closure Study update. The Trail Gap Closure Study continues to move forward. As a result of several public meetings that were held last year, there were 14 possible route options that were suggested. I will point out that some of these route options have common elements with each other. So some of them share certain areas that are in common. It is being suggested that a two-step process be utilized to come up with the recommended trail route through Plainville. The first step would be what we're calling a screening process. This step involves asking 6 questions for each possible route. So taking the 14 that are on the table and basically asking 6 questions. And those questions are, does the alternate connect at the north and south ends with the East Coast Greenway? Does the alternate connect with downtown? Does the alternate have major off-road elements? Can the alternate be constructed without significant right-of-way impacts? Does the alternate avoid undue reliance on the railroad right-of-way? And does the alternate avoid being overly circuitous? Concepts that pass the screening process will be developed into alternatives that will be evaluated. The evaluation criteria being suggested are as follows. Connectivity with various portions of the community. Downtown was one of the suggestions, perhaps parks as well. Safety and security. Facility type, and what we mean by facility type is either on-road, off-road, or adjacent to road. Environmental considerations, potential right-of-way easements or acquisitions, and the cost. The steering committee will be meeting sometime this month. They're trying to get a date, but it'll be in April, to begin the process just described with the intent to narrow the options to one proposed route. It is anticipated that the gap closure study will be completed this fall. There will be opportunities for the public to weigh in as the alternatives are narrowed down. I would point out that this planning study is being funded 100% through a planning grant that was secured through Capital Region Council of Governments, using some funds that were left over from the Central Connecticut Regional Planning Agency when they closed a couple of years ago. So that's all I have to report at the moment. I'd like to turn it over to Scott for some happenings. Short, hopefully.
Yes.
Not necessarily. I'm only kidding.
It's less than last time. The happenings I'm going to present will be posted online following tonight's meeting. The Plainville Coalition for Positive Youth Development will be presenting a discussion and forum on substance abuse in our families and our community on Thursday, April 6th at 6:15 p.m. at the Plainville Middle School Auditorium. The forum panel will be including Miriam Delphin-Rittman, the Commissioner of the CT Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, and they will be presenting an overview on some of the current substance abuse-related topics and discussions featuring state and local community leaders, persons in recovery, family members, and more. Panel members will share their knowledge, expertise, and personal stories regarding substance abuse, addiction, and recovery. Over at the Senior Center this month, tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m., they will be hosting their monthly Veterans Coffee Hour with Wayne Rue. Please call the Senior Center to register, as light refreshments are provided. And tomorrow at 10 a.m., you can join Dr. William Pettit and State Senator Henry Martin for the 2017 legislative update. Join them in discussing the issues that are shaping the 2017 legislative session, the state budget deficit, and any other state issues that are important to you. Please call the Senior Center at 860-747-5728 to register or stop by. On Thursday, April 6th at 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., they'll be hosting memory screenings. These are short, simple, 10-minute questionnaires and tasks to assess one's memory. The screenings will be done by Jennifer Doty. Please call the Senior Center to make an appointment. And they will be offering a naturopathic medicine and autoimmune disease session on Friday, April 21st at 10 a.m. Despite the advances in the healthcare system, they do face an unprecedented rise in chronic diseases, including a variety of autoimmune diseases and disorders. Join them for a discussion on the various theories behind autoimmune disease and how the unique approach of naturopathic medicine may offer help to those suffering with chronic disease. This will be presented by Ken Kirk, physician of Southington Care Center. This program is free. Please call the Senior Center beginning April 4th. Over at the Plainville Public Library on April 7th and April 8th, the Friends of the Plainville Library are sponsoring the semi-annual book sale. Thousands of books, CDs, and DVDs will be at a bargain price. On Sunday, April 9th, 2017 at 1:30 p.m., the library will be hosting a program entitled Health Benefits of Meditation. Here, attendees can learn about and enjoy an afternoon with guided relaxation and meditation. On Monday, April 10th, from 1 to 3, they're going to be hosting the Healthy Plainville Initiative, and they will be doing a blood pressure and health screening, partnering with the Wheeler Health and Wellness Program. Here you can ask a registered nurse any health questions that you may have. And during the school vacation week from April 10th to 13th, the library will be offering a variety of special programs for groups of all ages for the school vacation break. On Tuesday, the 11th, they'll be showing the film Manchester by the Sea, and on April 13th, Thursday, they will be also hosting a renowned landscape designer, Maureen Housley Jones, better known as the English Lady. And don't forget, bulk pickup will be beginning on April 17th, and the spring session will run through June 26th. Please call CWPM to schedule your pickup. As for hazardous waste collection, April 22nd behind the Plymouth Town Hall at 80 Main Street, Terryville, and on May 6th at the Plainville Highway Garage at the end of Granger Lane. All residents are required to bring a photo ID when attending any of these collection locations. That's all I have to report on.
Does anybody have any questions for Robert with his report or for Scott with his?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just on the trail update, I just wanted to say that it's very good to see that it's really resuming with vigor, and it's going to be a lot done, I think, over the next several months through November when they hope to come up with a final recommendation, and it's good to see that.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you both for your reports. We will move on to public comment section of our meeting. During this time, we invite the public to come to the podium, state your name and address for one opportunity to speak to us for 3 minutes. Does anybody wish to speak? I have 2 people that signed up, and then we'll go to the to those who haven't. The first one on the list is Christopher Robertson. Christopher?
Yes, Christopher Robertson, 12 Woodland Street, Plainville, Connecticut. After hearing, I was going to talk about, actually I forgot what I wanted to talk about after hearing the comments about the budget. This is going to probably make me a little unpopular with some people, and I apologize, it will. But it's really sinking in that some people want to take away from the kids, when after I looked at some numbers, it benefited in some other areas. Other people got actually bigger increases in certain services and stuff. And I understand that the Board of Ed is an expensive part of the budget. But also, you have to take into consideration the books, the food, taking care of the medical care. We have to have a nurse on duty. I remember back in 2000 when I graduated, we were lucky to have 2 principals, assistant principals to split both sides of the building, because there's a lot of kids. We have a lot of, back in those days, there was a lot of special ed kids. And it was a good balance, because if you put all that pressure on 2 people, you're going to have issues. And like I said, I know what I'm saying is unpopular, but the future is the kids. And if you look at I think it was a 1 point something increase. If we take away from the board, if we start taking away, and the increase that's coming is not the town's fault. It's not Robert Lee's fault. It's not the council's fault. It's not the citizens' fault. We're going to have to prepare to pay for those state cut issues. And to take away from the kids is wrong, especially when certain other areas were increased more than the budget consists of. So if you want to really dig in, it's almost like people are not looking at the future. They're looking at needs for other things when they're throwing the teenagers and the elementary kids aside. And that's why I usually keep my mouth quiet on this issue. But I just think it's sad. Thank you for your time. And like I said, I got to go. But like I said, I just want to say thank you for your time. And that's just what was bothering me during the meeting.
Thank you. Next on the list is John Kislick.
Don Kislick, 65 Forestville Avenue. First thing I want to say, I was with Dave at that fire, and we watched the firemen put it out. That was one stubborn fire, and they did a good job. The other thing, I want to share a few articles that were in the paper. Hartford Current today, recycled rubber may be banned. Carcinogens in tires cited. I'm going to read a couple paragraphs. Saying that children are uniquely vulnerable to the harmful impact of toxic chemicals, lawmakers are seeking a moratorium on the use of rubber from recycled tires on municipal and school playgrounds. Tires have been identified as hazardous waste. Some representatives said it, who's bringing up the bill. Urban cited studies that show crumb rubber from recycled tires contain 12 known carcinogens and 20 lung irritants, and is especially dangerous to children with developing organs and immature immune systems. So this is something we've been talking about before. They're going to try to ban it, so we'll see what happens to our field. The other thing I want to bring up in the Hartford Current, state of Connecticut is selling general obligation bonds, $750 million. I don't know much about bonds, but I sure won't buy any of these. $550 million in Series A and $200 million in Series B. That means the state of Connecticut is borrowing $750 million. And we wonder why we're in trouble. The other thing is, they say Plainville's part of this problem. $950,000 for that turf field. More than $1 million to demolish Linden Street School. And like I said before about the Wheeler School renovation project, at least $5 million more than is necessary by doing that renovate as new. I've said it before, and I have the paperwork from the contractors and whoever they are, architects. That school can be renovated for everything the kids need, for safety, everything, for $5 million less than the $23 million. So here we go. Plainville is part of this problem. We're only one little town, one out of 169. Look how many million we're responsible for why we're in trouble. So part of it is us. We don't have to do these things. They are not mandated by the state. Something like our sewer treatment plant, which is mandated by state and federal government, sure, we got some. We got more than we thought we could get. But we should have got all of it if it's mandated. That's where $750 million should go for. Not things that are not mandated, that are not necessary. We didn't have to knock down that school. We didn't have to build that turf field. And we don't have to spend $23 million on Wheeler School. So that's just part of the problems here. We have to think about what we're doing. We can't, and all these are Board of Education issues again. So here we go. The biggest part in this extra capital projects for the Board of Ed. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll open it up for anybody that did not sign the list but wishes to speak to the council. Does anybody wish to speak to the council? Roberta?
Roberta Loria, 18 Perrin Road. I am also Vice Chair of the Conservation Commission, and I'd like to spend a moment to just say thank you to everyone in the council who has put so much effort into the issues that are going on with the pond. I don't think anyone expected the numbers we heard tonight, and it was very insightful, informative, and I want to thank you very much for all the dedication you're putting into this. And I'd like to take 30 seconds to do a little bit of Conservation Commission advertising, if you don't mind. We have a very small group, and we work pretty hard. And for several reasons, we have one individual who wasn't able to do quite a bit in terms of Earth Day. In the past, she has dedicated an entire week, taken time off of work, and worked with the elementary schools to plant flowers. And for various reasons, she can't do it anymore. So I was thinking of ways to do what can we do differently. And if anybody travels back and forth on 84 to Hartford, you know you can do a lot of thinking on that strip. I had a conversation with Representative Pettit said it last week, and he alluded to that as well. So he's learning that too. So I started thinking about around September of last year, and I came up with something a little different. And my hope is to get more of the community involved. And what we decided to do this year was plant wildflower, give people in the community wildflower seeds for our pollinators. What a lot of people don't realize is our pollinators, such as our bees and our butterflies, are being decimated in this country. My son is going to be 15 years old, and he's never seen a monarch butterfly. It's just a fact of life. So the hope of this is to get the community involved, and this is the advertising I like to do a little bit of. This is free to the residents of Plainville. It's also free to a business in Plainville. And what you would get is a packet of seeds that you can plant in your yard. My son told me, "Mom, what'd you name this project?" And I said, "I didn't know I have to name the project." He says, "Mom, you have to name projects." So I came up with the name of Project PEEP. And it's not just for spring. It stands for Plainville Enhancing Its Environment for Pollinators. And our hope is to bring awareness to the residents of this community. Our hope is also, by planting these flowers, these wildflowers, and it includes all different types. There's about 50 different types of flowers. Everybody would get a small packet that they can plant in their yard. They can plant in pots, whatever they want to do. And our hope is my hope personally is to kind of bring the community a little bit more together as well. We've had so much division in the past year in politics. And it would be nice to see everybody working for the same thing. So we have the seniors who are going to help us package these. And we've got to find some spots where they'll be available. We're hoping the library will help us, and maybe the town clerk will help us. And I sincerely hope that I can convince everybody here to come and get a packet and plant it, because this was my idea, and the last thing I want to do is see it go down the tube, so to speak. The Conservation Commission members have been very supportive of this, and I sincerely want to see this work for our community. Based on the research that I did, this is the first of its kind. This has never been done by a town. In Connecticut, I couldn't even find anything in the state. And not only in the state, but in our country. When I was calling around vendors and telling them what my idea was, the answer I got was, "Sounds like a good idea," and then would hang up on me. It doesn't exist anywhere, so we'd be the first to do it. So I sincerely hope that we can all come together on this project and have those from 2 to 102 get involved. Thank you very much for your time.
Great, thank you. Interesting idea. Does anybody else wish to speak to the council? Joanne?
Joanne Edmond, 166 West Main Street. I'm sure you all missed the prayer. I haven't been here for a while. Here we go. Oh, dear God, our Heavenly Father, please grant our town council the wisdom, knowledge, strength, and courage to perform their elected duties and responsibilities to the citizens and charter of Plainville. Amen. Now to the business end of what I wanted to say. You know, in the past I've brought up the bricks on the historical building that need a protective coating, and I was wondering if anything had been done regarding that project.
Not that I'm
I
aware
think
of.
I had requested something in writing, which I never got. That's all right. You can tell me.
I have no update for you, Joanne.
No update. You said it was on the radar, or somebody said it. So, I mean, how many more years do we have to wait for maybe a couple $100 worth or a couple of $1,000 worth? When we're talking millions for the other projects, you know, meaning the school projects. I'm going to fight for this old building. And believe me, I'm like a dog with a rag bone. I'm not going to let this go. This is important. We cannot let another old building go down the tubes. We let old Linden go. That was a shame. And we're not going to let this wonderful old building that houses our treasures. Nancy is very concerned about this. Regardless what anybody says, she is concerned about these bricks. They're 100 years old. They have no protective coating on them. And I think that it's very important that we get somebody to look at them and decide what should be put on. It has to be special, a special kind of coating that doesn't hurt the bricks, only enhances them and protects them from the elements. I can see where they've got holes and some of them are cracked. And the foundation looks a little ominous, regardless of what anybody says. The the cement's starting to crack. Also, you want to take a look at the new Linden Street School. The columns in the back of the school are starting to crumble. I mean, I see these things. And another thing that I've taken a good look at is the parking lot over at the high school. I have driven all around that school, and really, frankly, I have not seen one pothole. Granted, the parking lot's tired. It's had cracks which have been repaired, but you know, there's parking lots all over the state, all over this town that are in worse condition that have potholes. Doctors' offices, grocery parking lots, grocery store parking lots. There's numerous, and roads that have potholes. Why don't we spend that money on our roads? $2 million on a parking lot? And what kind of site improvements? Somebody said something about a ramp near the tennis courts. Isn't there one there already, or what? Why do we have to have a ramp over by the tennis courts? And I just, you know, the kids are lucky to have a space to park. What if this was New York City? You wouldn't have even a space to park. They've got just this enormous lot. And it's not so bad. That's $2 million. So really think about it. I'm not happy about that expenditure. And I really think that okay, maybe you need a new roof on the middle school, and there needs to be some renovation over at the Wheeler School. You need to keep up, and that's what we've always said. Keep up with it every year instead of, you know, at the end of 5 or 10 years, the thing is falling apart. So, anyway, that's all I've got to say for now.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak? Yes.
Hi, I'm Timothy Anselli, 349 Woodford Avenue. I'm a member of the high school, and I want to follow up on what others have said here. I don't think that such budget expenditures are necessary for things like the parking lot, a few of the added parts for ramps at the tennis court, things like that. Now, I know structural problems are very important to keep up on so that they don't break apart further, but I myself, I've helped run a few events at the high school that have been around the parking lot, and I've never, in all my time there, and I have many friends who use the parking lot and park there, no one has complained. I've not ever heard a complaint about the quality. I don't think that such money is necessary to be spent in such an important location. And I also, I've seen a few other expenditures inside the school where money that has been allotted to certain theater and art programs not purposefully gone to waste, mind you. And I'm not saying we should cut budget in Board of Ed, because I know it's important to a lot of things around here, but there are areas where we could cut back, especially with a few structural issues at the high school that aren't so open and necessary right now. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak to the council? Mr. Frangos?
Lou Frangos, 10 Fairbank Street. My first question is there an update on that track repair at the high school? That seems to have gone off radar.
Not yet. We haven't gotten any newer information yet.
That's it. Okay. Do you have any idea when they'll be able to get some information?
I beg your pardon?
When there will be some, I'm sorry, when information will be available?
Sure. As soon as we can get it, we'll go.
We're in negotiations right now, and there's nothing we can reveal as far as those negotiations are concerned.
Thank you. Okay, the only other thing and this is just a personal thought, I'm hoping that the town council, because of budgets the way they are, restraints, et cetera, let's take a good look at school renovation projects. From you, and bear with me because I've got arrows pointing all over this sheet, so bear with me. But I just found it kind of ironic that again in an article we're talking about a town staff position that they're really going to have a problem filling. And the budget goes up for $25,000. There doesn't seem to be any burp for a $23 or $32 million school project. Now, I don't want to put this in the context that it's me against the schools, because it's not. I'm just looking at if we're tightening on budgets, why are we going, I'm sorry, I said 32, it's 23 million, I'm talking Wheeler School. That's a lot of money. And I know reimbursements, but still a lot of money. Tied into that, and one of the reasons that I brought this subject up was I do attend the capital building projects meetings. And I believe perhaps this gentleman right here is the one that, with the middle school project, the roof. All right. Personally, I thought that was outstanding. Because it seems everybody's focused on the end goal. It has to be done, and it has to be done now. And then all of a sudden, someone pops up and says, no, not everything has to be done now. And we do have problems because of it. And I thought that was just, it was a refreshing approach. That's all I'm trying to say on that. Let's see where else. Okay, another, and this is information for Mr. Frangos. Reimbursement from the state. And this, I kind of find it unusual. We're talking about $1 million, $1.9 million for teachers and all that. The state is going to reimburse us. Example, what are we talking about? Wheeler School? Where we got papers everywhere. Wheeler School project. Is it going to be, the state will reimburse us $12,106,000. We don't have to pay them back. That's just, they're going to give us $12 million for that project. And yet they're going to hit us with $1.9 million for teachers. Am I really, believe me, I sit in the back of that room sometimes and I get more confused, and I say, gee, Lou, you must be the only one in this room that doesn't understand what's going on here.
You're not alone.
So, that and, let's see. Yeah, the final thing, and I'll leave you folks alone with this one. Again with the Wheeler School project, and I'll tie this directly to the middle school. Why does everything have to be done in 1 year? Why can't we, if we can turn around and say middle school roof had to be done now, immediately, and all of a sudden someone came up with a better way and could break it out in years, helping the taxpayer relief? Why is there such a push, such a crusade to get Wheeler done in 1 year? And I don't mean to attack anybody by asking this question. All I'm just saying is, again, sitting in the back of that room, it just doesn't add up to mother. Why is this secret? This one doesn't seem to be a secret. And I'm sorry, I don't mean this in disrespect to the council or anybody else working on the project. It's just questions I have that I'm sorry I don't understand. Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak to the council? Anybody else that hasn't had a turn? Okay, we will close. Thank you for your comments. We'll move on to our new business portion of our meeting.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to establish a public hearing on Monday, April 24th, 2017 at 7 p.m. at Wheeler Elementary School to hear public comment on an ordinance entitled Appropriating $25,260,000 for renovations and improvements to Wheeler Elementary School and Plainville High School, and authorizing the issue of bonds and notes to finance the portion of the appropriation not defrayed from grants.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number two?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to approve a small business loan to CAPS LNP LLC in the amount of $40,000 as recommended by the Economic Development Agency.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number three, please.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to waive the bid process and award bid 2017-16E reconstruction of Paderewski Park basketball courts to Tilcon, Plainville, Connecticut, in the amount of $22,941.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number four.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to award bid number 2017-17E bituminous concrete materials for the road bond project under state contract number 15PSX0267 to Tilcon, Plainville, Connecticut, in the amount not to exceed $500,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number five.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to award bid number 2017-18E catch basin components for the road bond project under state contract 14PSX0231 to United Concrete Products of Wallingford, Connecticut, in an amount not to exceed $50,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any comment on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number six.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to award bid 2017-19E concrete blocks and bricks for the road bond project under state contract 14PSX0137 to Cromwell Concrete, Cromwell, Connecticut, in the amount not to exceed $15,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Kathy.
opposed?
Kathy,
Number.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
the motions that you're reading off was an old sheet. I would ask you to go to your computer for the motions, because the first motion had to do with the town budget.
Town budget, yeah, right here.
Oh.
I wondered about that.
Lisa just got back today, and I think she worked off the old motions when she put the hard copies in front of you, but you can do the last. I'm just saying, I don't want you to forget to do the budget, that's all.
Okay.
That's the only one that's different.
Oh, I see.
didn't
Okay.
do it.
Can we just amend the original motion to the correct amounts?
Well, I
Well,
don't know.
number two was the first one.
Number
never made the
one was
motion.
for the.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I'm just saying, just
That's
do
fine.
it as the
I'll
last
take care of it
one.
right now. Madam Chair?
Yep.
Motion to approve and recommend the general government fiscal year 2018 budget, including capital projects of $23,022,095, and the Board of Education fiscal year 2018 budget of $35,503,099 for a total budget of $58,525,194.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to approve the tax refunds as listed on the revised addendum.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Lee, do you have anything else for us tonight?
Yeah, a couple items. During the public comment portion, those comments made with regards to the recent, or the proposed action by a committee at the state of Connecticut with regards to crumb rubber. I would like to point out that that particular proposal would involve, playgrounds. It would not involve turf fields at all. So there's no proposal to outlaw crumb rubber on turf fields, number one. Number two is, to be somewhat fair with regards to the entire article. There was mention in the article that there's no conclusive studies showing that there's any issues with crumb rubber being used on playgrounds and impacting children. It's we're going to be fair about the issue. It should be complete, at least in terms of the entire thing. In terms of comments with regards to the high school paving, I would point out that at the tennis courts issue is that there was a recent audit that was done of the ADA requirements in that area, and the ramp that's in that area does not meet ADA requirements. So it is a requirement that we fix that. So unfortunately, what's there is not adequate according to ADA standards. There's also comments made with regards to Wheeler Elementary School, and I know it's somewhat complicated to understand, but the monies that are used to fund the projects such as Wheeler Elementary School come out of the bonding authorization. The monies that they're talking about, the teachers' pension, comes out of the operating budget. So while they're linked in some way, they're not linked in terms of long-term versus short-term. Unfortunately, the state reimbursement process encourages communities to do these buildings on a comprehensive basis. They'll reimburse you if you do a renovate like new. They won't reimburse you if you do a little bit here this year, a little bit there next year, and the year after. So the way the rules are, and the Capital Projects Building Committee has discussed this, and I know that we've discussed it at the council level, is if you want $12 million worth of reimbursement, you have to do renovate like new. If you want to take your time doing it and pay it over a period of time, or perform it over a period of time, then you're not going to get the state reimbursement, and you're going to pay 100% of that cost. So, the determination in this particular instance is that Wheeler Elementary School, I don't think anybody doubts that there's a significant amount of work that needs to be done at Wheeler Elementary School. We may debate about certain elements of it, but I don't think anybody says that, hey, the school's just fine the way it is, and we don't really need to do anything. And it's been determined that the best way to approach this is to do a comprehensive basis, take full advantage of the state reimbursement, and on top of that, it happens to fit into our debt management plan, our debt service plan, which when this project is absorbed into the debt service plan, there will not be an increase to that line item. From a long-term view, it makes sense to do it now, and it makes sense to do it on a comprehensive basis. We don't know where the state reimbursement is going to go in future years, but we do know that based upon the rules that are in place today, the town, for eligible expenses, would get 65% reimbursement. We don't know if that's going to be there tomorrow or the year after. And so when you put all of those pieces together, the Capital Projects Building Committee, which is made up of citizens of the community, not the town council, not the Board of Education, but citizens of the community who look at these things on a comprehensive long-term basis, have said that they believe this is the best approach. And it's up to the council and the Board of Education to determine if they agree with that. And at some point in time, that will go to public hearing, which is on the 24th, and that, and if the council moves it forward, it will be, voted on at referendum. But hopefully that, answers at least some of the questions that were raised this evening with regards to why now and why all at once. It's not all going to be done at 1 year. And this project is going to be done over a series of years, and it's going to be monies are going to be borrowed over a period of time. These projects take 2, 3, 4 years. So it isn't going to all be done in 1 year, and it isn't all going to impact the budget in 1 year. In terms of the bonding and what. But it is going to be it will impact the budget as debt is falling off, so that you will not see an increase in that particular line item. So, hopefully that makes it a little bit clearer, answers some questions. Doesn't mean you can't disagree, but hopefully that answers your questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Robert and his explanation on those issues? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn into executive session.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to adjourn to executive session for a matter of litigation, possible litigation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much.